That's a nuisance. Hello everybody, welcome. I was just making some flower pots yesterday, and one of them I inadvertently threw the base a little bit thin in the bottom, you know. So I put it back on the wheel. I just thought I'd show you this because it's something we all do, isn't it, occasionally? Make the pots a little bit thin on the bottom through the base. I really didn't want the flower pot to have a thin bottom to it. So what I'm going to do is put in a false bottom. So I thought I'd just swing the camera into position here. Maybe go a bit higher. So we've got a little bit of a topways shot there. I'm just going to pull it back a touch. So I've put the flower pot. It's actually sort of drier on the top half here, but down in the base it's still reasonably soft. So I'm going to take a lump of clay and I'm going to now you might need surprisingly more than you might anticipate. You know, when you have a fairly large, or a base, a flat, a bottom, even a plate for example, if you throw it too thick or too thin, it can be quite a difference in the amount of material. So I'm going to take a lump of clay like this, make it round, and now I'm smacking it. You see what I'm doing? It's sort of a disc, and it's quite good if it's slightly tapering when you do this towards the edges, so that when I lay it down in there, it's going to be, the most material is going to be in the middle, and it's going to be tapering outwards like that. So that's when I drop it down in there, it's not going to trap any air. It's not going to trap any air underneath it, but it may well actually even do that. But if it does, it's no big deal. I can prick it with my needle tool, which I'd better have handy. I wonder where it is. Anyway, so as I said, this is sort of fairly wet down the bottom there. I'm just going to sponge it. I'm not going to sort of key it or scratch it or do anything like that. Just simply wet it. Wet the bottom of that like that, and I'm just going to carefully now place that down right in the center. Let's see if we can bring the camera in. I want you to see what I've done. Whether that'll come out in the focus, but anyway, that's just dropped down in there at the moment there. So what I've now got to do is I've now got to get down in there. As you can see, I've made it so it's wide enough to cover the whole of the base. I'm just going to take my sponge, and starting in the middle, I'm just going to move outwards from the middle to the outside. Now it's a little bit of a, one could say, an arbitrary amount of clay I used, but you know, in certain circumstances you do have to use guesswork, don't you? So I'm just using the sponge, pressing out, smoothing the base, and joining it well into the right into the corner there. and I reckon that it's looking pretty good. We don't seem to have trapped any air. As you can see in my posture at the moment, I'm having to get my hand right the way down to the bottom, but of course it's difficult to keep your hand rigid enough to do a controlled movement from the center to the outside. So you see I'm bringing in my other hand here and I'm using it as a brace, and to enable me, as I'm exerting a little bit of pressure downwards and also out to the right to the edge, this hand here is giving support. So that's it. Just going to now put the sponge in and finish it off, and that is actually complete now. That's done. As you can see, it's quite a simple operation. You don't need to throw a pot away just for the sake of it having a thin bottom. I mean, you know, of course, with some certain things, a small mug or something, it's almost as much trouble just to, you might as well just throw another one and be done with it. But I mean, when I've thrown a flower pot and everything, and I've just checked the base of that, and you can see that's plenty thick enough now. That's more than ½ an inch thick, which is actually generous. But it is a flower pot, and I don't want it to be, as I said in the past, flimsy in the bottom. So, of course, at this stage I haven't actually put a hole in. You can throw a flower pot and put a hole in as you throw it, or sometimes it's almost easier just to throw it normally, and then when you come to fettling it off, when they're upside down, you just get your hole borer, one of these guys. Where is it? It's like that, but it's a slightly bigger one, slightly bigger. Anyway, you know what I mean. One of these, just to put the hole in the bottom there. So all that remains to be done is to cut that off the bat, and here's my wire. Of course, you will need to cut it again. I don't know if you can see that now is fine. It's complete. Okay, well, just a quick tip there, but maybe a useful one. Salvage some of those pots which could be saved. Pity to throw them away, isn't it, when you put time into them. Okay, Simon Leach here saying, keep practicing. See you soon. Bye bye now.